NNSRL up 500%, because a lot of people say there's a 400% increase, but my math tells me it was 2% and now it's 10. 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. 500% increase. Before that, in the budget, did you hear about an increase for old age pensioners? People who strive hard on the backs and who now the DLP MPs riding on the backs in Parliament of people who toil in the sun to get them there. Did you hear an increase in old age pension benefits for those people who now are among the most vulnerable in society because they're not working anymore? They're obviously subject to poor health more than younger people. Did you hear about an increase in unemployment benefits for any person who has lost their job, whether in the private sector, with over 16,000 people losing their jobs in the first term of office in the DLP, and plus the 4,000 who the DLP fired unceremoniously since they came into office? Have you heard about any increase in unemployment benefit for them with these 3 additional new taxes in the last budget 3 months ago? Did you hear about any increase in welfare benefits for persons with disabilities? Certainly the most vulnerable people in Barbados. People blind, deaf, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy, immobility. Did you hear about any increase in benefits for them? And you can tell me that this is not the most anti-working class, most conservative administration ever in the history of Barbados. And this is a case where poverty is rising in Barbados, because the Caribbean Development Bank, in its poverty study, released about, I think it was 2010, 2011, spoke about 1 in every 5 Barbadians living below the poverty line. That certainly has increased since that report came out 6 years ago. I would venture certainly that in St. James North, and I could speak with St. James North with authority, it is certainly over 25%. That's the one constituency I could speak of with authority. In terms of setting off monies owed by the government in VAT refunds, in income tax refunds, in corporation tax refunds to Barbadian citizens, have you heard about any policy to set off now the VAT or the income tax or the corporation tax that you might owe government against what they owe you? Because when you owe government, you got to pay them at compound interest. Interest plus penalty, whether it's land tax, whether it is VAT, income tax, whatever. But they pay you when you feel like, and you can't get back your VAT or your income tax returns. Only the very wealthy and members of the Democratic Labour Party, fatted calf, can survive under these circumstances that we find ourselves in, especially in a situation where this government refuses to pay people under contract. You do work for government and then you can't get your money and you finish the work, you know. And that alone has a lot of business people under real economic pressure. But one of the, as Mark Antony said in Julius Caesar, the severest cut of all is the removal of the right that hitherto for 50 years Barbadian citizens had to free tuition fees at the University of the West Indies. So Hilary Beckles, and he was no big supporter or no supporter of the Barbados Labour Party. Remember in 1994, Hilary Beckles went the length and breadth of Barbados, cussing the Barbados Labour Party and on after. Hilary Beckles said that that policy alone has set Barbadian women especially back 25 years. In my constituency, I can tell you that there are dozens of young people who had to drop out of the University of the West Indies because of the imposition of tuition fees on university students. We tried to help some. We helped some because there were quite a few in their final year who, once they had the resolve and will to try and get through the 2 semesters, we helped them through my foundation. And Hadford here, my campaign manager, is the director also of my foundation. Because we said that you have come too far if you come 2 years. Let me try and help you through the 3rd. You got to pay $5,600 to get through, man. Let me help. We can't pay all. We certainly can't pay all. We're going to pay some. Let me see, man, if we could put together and thing, and some still managed to get through. But a lot dropped out of the university. These people who dropped out are not the rich people. These were poor people who had to drop out of university because of the imposition of tuition fees. And these fees have now gone up. University start this week, the fees gone up again 5%. So yesterday, for example, I received a phone call from a constituent, 19 years old, Mr. Hinkson. Boy, look, I ain't got money to buy my school books. And, you know, even the government grant that I managed to get here is short now because the fees gone up again. So one of the things I did before I came here is take a check for her to buy her school books at the bookstore tomorrow. Because these people have to be given an opportunity to get through life. 13 of the 16 Democratic Labour Party elected members of Parliament will most likely not be in there if I see people like Miss Bridgman. Is Bridgman here? Well, Miss Bridgman here, but Miss Bridgman will go be here because if the LT got a meeting on the moon, Miss Bridgman will find a way. And Chesil here and Miss Lee here. The three of y'all probably the oldest in here. If it wasn't for the 3 of y'all and your contemporaries, 13 of them, the 13 of the 69 there would not be there because they were born poor. They say so. And the Prime Minister, y'all financed his university education for 10 straight years. 4 degrees. 2 first degrees, a master's, and a law school certificate. One of them, who sits in the Senate, who is a minister, which should not be the case because he lost his seat last time. Remember, he used to be the member for where we are right now. He spent 9 years before he got 1 degree. 9 years that your money spent educating him to get 1 degree. That he should have finished in 3 years. But could sit round the cabinet table, all of them, and stop now working class people, children and grandchildren of working class people, from getting through life and having the opportunity that they had. And they want to tell me that I belong to an arts conservative elitist party. No. This is too much. We are not letting any lie get any head start on us. This is the Democratic Labour Party that in 2008 manifesto, their 2008 manifesto promised that 40% of the procurement contracts for government will go to small people. Small people is black people, same thing, create the same things to them. Has that been the case? Virtually all the big contracts in Barbados, government contracts, have gone to 1 to 3 people. None of them 3 are the color of anybody in this room here today. One man getting over 500 million in contracts. Where is the birth? You know? All kind of contracts. With the implications for campaign financing. That is part of the Prevention of Corruption Act that went through Parliament as one of its last acts in December 2012, but has not yet found its way just a mile and a half from Parliament to Government House for the Governor General to sign to bring into the law of Barbados. Now the Lord knows why the Dems have refused to bring in prevention of corruption legislation. We all here can guess. The Lord knows for sure. But when you have a situation where a government or political party before an election has made it a covenant, part of their manifesto, to give 40% of government contracts. Sandra here, of course, would know better than I would know. She used to be president of the Small Business Association of Barbados, and I think vice president of the Caribbean. So she would obviously be just as passionate or more passionate on this issue than I would be. But when the government could promise that and then absolutely renege on that promise, but why should we be surprised? Because the Democratic Labour Party told you in 1986 that their manifesto has never been and will never be a covenant or social contract. So therefore, whatever they bring in this manifesto next year, you know they're going to bring all kind of promises. I will advise you and to tell everybody, tear it up. Put it in the dustbin, it ain't worth nothing. Not worth the paper it's written on.